Hello everyone. Let's discuss in today's video about database service in AWS. Let's take one real-time scenario. In our on-premises, we have one physical server in which we have SQL server with 8 GB of RAM. Let's assume that this is our on-premises in which we have MySQL database with 8 GB of RAM. This is our MySQL database with 8 GB of RAM. And this is, let's assume this is our on-premises. Now my question to is it possible to handle this database physically? Obviously no, because there will be no high availability. What are the chances if you handle this database physically? There will be no high availability, scalability issue, performance issue. There will be performance issue. There might be DB crash issue, and lot more. There are lot more issues to handle. Okay, like there will be no availability, no scalability, no performance, database crash issue. So there are lot more issues that we need to handle. So where we can set up this database to avoid those issues. So we came with one service, that is RDS, Relational Database Service, and this service is provided by AWS. Like this RDS is a like platform as a service, so everything will be managed by AWS, so we no need to worry about all these issues. Then what is RDS? Then what is the definition of RDS? Let's discuss. Then what is RDS? It is a service where we can set up, configure and maintain RDBMS database. Only RDBMS database we can manage here. So it is a service where we can set up, configure and maintain RDBMS database. Then what is RDS, Relational Database Service? It is a service where we can set up, configure and maintain RDBMS database. Okay. Now RDS is a service, database service only. It is not database. So RDS only database service, not database. RDS is database service, not database. RDS is database service, not database. RDS supports only RDBMS database. RDS supports only RDBMS database. What is RDS? It is a service where we can set up, configure and maintain RDBMS database. RDS database service, it is not database. RDS supports only RDBMS database. Why we are using RDS? Because let's assume in our on-premises we have set up one MySQL database which will have 8 GB of RAM. So there are chances of issues like now availability, scalability issues, performance issues, DB crash issues, lot more issues to handle. So AWS came with one service, that is RDS, where we can set up, configure and maintain RDBMS database. Okay, so it is a database service, not database. RDS supports only RDBMS database. Now RDS supports 7 engines. What are those 7 engines? Let's discuss. RDS supports 7 engines. What are those 7 engines? Okay, those 7 engines is MySQL, Oracle, MS SQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, then Aurora, IBM DB2. RDS supports 7 engines. What are those 7 engines? MySQL, Oracle, MS SQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, Aurora, IBM DB2. Now, we just need to set up RDS DB instances in which we create MySQL engine. So we no need to worry about those issues. Like we just need to create MySQL engine. We need to no need to worry about those engines. Okay, those issues will be handled by AWS only, as it is like a platform as a service. Now we will migrate our database from on-premises to AWS. We have RDS DB instances, so we have created DBMS data migration service. Like okay, here we will create RDS DB instances. This is our RDS DB instances. This is our RDS DB instances in which we have created our database, that is MySQL. Okay, and here RDS will have one endpoint. RDS will have one endpoint, and as a client we will connect to this endpoint. As a client we will connect to this endpoint. Okay. Okay, if you are using RDS DB instances, what is our step? In RDS DB instances, we will create our database, which is MySQL, in which we will have one endpoint, and we can create, we can connect to this endpoint. Okay, now we will migrate our database from on-premises to AWS or RDS. We have RDS DB instances, so we have DMS, data migration service. If you want to connect from on-premises to RDS or AWS, so we will have DMS, data migration service. What is this DMS? DMS, data migration service. Like we will migrate our database from on-premises to AWS or RDS, in which we will have RDS DB instances. So we have DMS for that. DMS means data migration service. Then what is database? What is database? Okay, database means it is used to store the data. It is used to store the data. Okay, but if you want to store huge data, there is another service in AWS, that is data warehouse. Okay, what is database? It is used to store the data. But if you want to store the huge data, then there is another service in AWS, that is data warehouse. What is data warehouse? It is used to store huge data. If you want to store the data, there is database. But if you want to store the huge data, then there is a service in AWS, that is data warehouse. Okay. Then database service in AWS is RDS. Okay. To store the data, there is service in AWS is RDS. But if you want to store huge data in AWS, there is another service in AWS, that is Redshift. That is Redshift. It is a data warehouse service in AWS. Service in AWS. Okay. What is database? It is used to store the data. And which is database service in AWS? RDS, Relational Database Service. But if you want to store the huge data, there is service data warehouse. Okay. Then which is another service to store the huge data? It is a Redshift. Redshift means it is a data warehouse service in AWS. Now, let's assume that Ganesh is searching for shoes in a Flipkart. So how this request will work? Okay, For example, let's assume that Ganesh is searching for shoes in a Flipkart. Okay, this will our application. This is our database server. Okay, this is our application server and this is our database server. Application server. This is our database server. Now Ganesh is searching for shoes on Flipkart frequently. Okay. Now how this request will work? Okay, Ganesh will search for shoes on Flipkart. So this request will go to the application server. From application server, request will go to the database server, and database server will redirect this request to the application server, and application server will provide this request to the Ganesh. This we have seen in the 3-tier architecture also. Okay, now this database will have hard disk here, where it will have its data. Okay, this database server will have hard disks. Okay, how this request will work? Ganesh will request shoes on Flipkart. So this request will go to the application server. Application server will forward this request to the database server, and database server will pull this request from hard disk, and again it will redirect to the application server, and from application server to the client. Okay, but now the question is, Ganesh is frequently accessing for shoes, so only application server need to ask database server for same request. Now Ganesh is frequently searching for shoes only, so application server need to hit a database server or need to ask database server again and again for the same request. Then here database server what will do, this request will put in the cache memory here. Okay, if Ganesh is asking same request frequently, so database server will put this request in cache memory here. Cache memory. Now if Ganesh is asking same request frequently, so database server will provide this request now from the cache memory. Okay, because this same request is again asking frequently. Now next time for 10 time, if Ganesh is asking request to the application server requesting to the database server, and database server providing the request from hard disk. Okay, but at the 11th time, what this application server will do, application server will take this request directly from the cache memory, because this request is frequently asking. So database server putting this request in cache memory, so application server will directly take this request from cache memory. Okay, so AWS has elastic cache here as a cache memory. AWS has a elastic cache. What is elastic cache then? It is a in-memory database caching service. What is elastic cache then? It is in-memory database caching service. This cache memory has two engines. What are those two engines? One is Redis and another is Memcached. This elastic cache has two engines. What are those? Redis and Memcached. We will see this RDS in details in coming videos with practicals. So this is just overview of this RDS Relational Database Service. If you want to store the database in AWS, there is service that is RDS Relational Database Service. If you want to store the huge data in AWS, there is service that is Redshift. Okay. Now, and another concept is, for example, Ganesh is asking for a shoes. This request will go to the application server. From application server, request will go to the database server, and database server will provide this request from the hard disk. But Ganesh is asking same request frequently, so database server will put this request in cache memory, and application server will directly take this request from the cache memory without connecting with database server. Okay, so in AWS we have elastic cache. What is elastic cache? It is in-memory database caching service. Elasticsearch supports two engines. What are those two engines? One is Redis and Memcached.